you know, it's not really, even if the whole shutdown solves itself, it's not really going to get much less traumatic as we go forward looking at funding all of this, is it?
No, it's not, Dr. Gina, and we still got probably several more days to go. This was just a procedural vote. Then the filibuster's got to go back to the House, more procedural votes in the Senate before it even gets to the president's desk. And then the Republicans have promised to vote sometime mid-December on extending the Obamacare tax credits, which is an absolute farce. And Speaker Johnson has not committed to bring that up. So a lot more to go, but they are going to move forward with appropriations that would pay our veterans and also the Department of Agriculture. So that's in place. So yeah, it's what is really ludicrous to me of this whole thing, what the mainstream media has failed to point out. The House passed CR just to keep the budget, to keep the country open. This isn't a Donald Trump budget. This is the FY24. This is the old President Biden era budget that the Democrats supported in the past. So that's kind of gotten lost. Republicans voted to keep the government open at Biden era spending levels. I wrote an article years ago basically saying that America needs Harry Truman Democrats again. And lately I've been asking myself, are there any Harry Truman Democrats left? I do think you got to give credit to those 3 Democrat senators in the Senate who voted with Republicans from the outset to keep the government open. Of course, 5 more crossed the aisle last night. So I think you've got to give credit to them for putting their country above party.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I'm glad you mentioned the process that's going to play out this week. Just because the Senate voted in this filibuster vote late last night doesn't mean that this thing's a done deal quite yet. And good luck in the House trying to corral enough votes to get this thing passed. You think they will, but we probably will have something on the president's desk maybe by Wednesday, Thursday. We'll see. Hey, let me move on, Van, about these $2,000 checks for Americans. This is something President Trump talked about on Truth Social over the weekend. He said this: people that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars. We'll soon begin paying down our enormous debt, $37 trillion. Record investment in the USA, plants and factories going up all over the place. Then he says this: a dividend of at least $2,000 a person, then he says not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. To be clear, so this is interesting, what he's trying to say. We should mention, though, that you can't just do this as a president without Congress getting involved. I mean, Congress controls the purse here. They're going to have to pass legislation. Though Scott Bessent was saying over the weekend that some of this money could come from tax provisions that's already been passed and signed into law. I'm curious to get your take on this, because I know a lot of folks say, hey, just pay down the debt and that debt and deficit, all that.
No, you're right. The Constitution specifically provides that Congress has got to be involved in something like this. And Secretary Bessent, who I think is the best Secretary of the Treasury we've had since Alexander Hamilton, has said that this rebate, if you will, can come in several forms. But let's take a step back and look at what's happened here. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, which is a bipartisan group that's been around for over 40 years, dedicated to reducing the deficit of this country, says that under President Trump's policies, we've seen an increase of 250% in tariff revenues into the treasury of this country. And that's probably on the low end, because President Trump's tariffs didn't really go into effect until we were 1/3 of the way in to this fiscal year. Look, President Trump, I believe, is the best salesman for America we've ever had. I'd like to see him put on that red baseball cap, get out of the White House, go to Alabama, go to Michigan, go to Nevada, and remind the people what has happened this year. This country was in a world of hurt when he took office. We've got record revenues from tariffs coming into this country. We've got record investments coming into this country from overseas. We've got a secure border all at the same time, and we've got a commander-in-chief who is finally holding communist China accountable. It is a great news story to tell. I'd love to see him put on that red baseball cap, get out there with the grassroots, and really force the mainstream media to have to cover this American comeback story.